record. So Neil Hodgson, pole position. He'll be looking to translate that into a good start, and if he can get the jump, it's up to the rest to live with him. Killy, Garcia, Walker alongside him on the front row of the grid. Phillip Island, race 1, second round of World Superbikes. The lights change. Great start for Walker up the outside. Chris Walker made a tremendous start on the number 9 HM Plant Ducati and may have got himself through into second place from 4th on the grid, holding the inside line going through Douans and heading down towards South Curve. But Killy has just edged him out. Killy's there in second place ahead of Chris Walker, and it could be that Gregorio Lavia has made a blistering start on the Alstara Corona Suzuki, and he's there in 4th place. James, how vital is a good start round here?
Yeah, really, really vital. You've got a couple of fast corners and you go into a really slow hairpin, and you can easily find yourself by the time you get to the hairpin with the leaders disappearing into the distance and you can do nothing about it caught behind slower riders. It's really important.
Killy diving straight underneath Neil Hodgson as they went into the Honda hairpin and trying to prove straight away that that 998 RS, that 2001 998 RS, is not going to be outclassed. Remember, his 132.786 is clearly the fastest time that's been set around here all weekend. And his super pole lap was way off that time, and that dropped him back downfield. Hayden in lucky 13th place at the moment on the second FP1. But look at Frankie Killy and look at Walker. Walker just a bike's length behind as they go through MG corner and into turn 11 on lap 1. Chris Walker very much in touch with Neil Hodgson. And another man who's well up there as well, the NCR Ducati. That maybe Regis Laconi was fast all weekend, second fastest behind Killy during Friday qualifying. And Troy Corson, not such a good start for him. But look at this trio going across the line now. And that was Neil Hodgson on the 999, drafting his way convincingly past Frankie Killy.
No drafting there, Jack.
That was just sheer power.
About 15 brake horsepower, that. Mind you, if he's riding a second-hand bike, I mean, I wouldn't want a bike I'd ridden before if I were Frankie Killy, but he must have liked it if he went and bought it.
He must have done. Well, he was that desperate to stay involved in World Superbikes, and certainly showing form like this, he's got every reason to, he certainly is justifying it. But look at Gregorio Lavia. Lavia on the Alstara Corona Suzuki. He turned up 2 weeks ago when the British Superbike guys were testing at Catalunya and went away with a notebook full of the settings that Kageyama and John Reynolds were using. And it looks like he's putting them to good use, James.
Yeah, also, I think you'll find here that the 1000cc bikes, particularly the Suzuki, it's a lot better circuit for them. It's a lot faster, a lot more flowing than Valencia, and there's a big fast winding up corner going onto the straight, and I think that'll suit the heavier, bigger bikes than Valencia would.
Hodgson, at the moment, is in first place. Number 10, Gregorio Lavia, as he goes up Lukey Heights, is in 4th place. And Ruben Zaus, who made not a very good start from the second row of the grid, has got a lot of work to do to catch up. And someone having a major, and that's James Hayden having a major off-road excursion, and that's just what Hayden didn't want after making a respectable start.
I'm not sure something didn't go wrong with the bike there, actually. It just looked a bit of a strange place to go.
Completing lap 2, Hodgson leads, Killy second, Walker coming alongside him on the HM Plant Ducati. And Gregorio Lavia right in there in 4th place. So at the moment, Hodgson, double race winner for the first time in his career at Valencia, is leading, but only just here at Phillip Island in race 2. Make that race 1, round 2.
I still can't believe the speed of Hodgson's bike compared to Killy's. Unbelievable speed advantage there.
Does that mean that you would expect Hodgson to just take off now? He has been struggling a little bit to get the bike set up as he's wanted this weekend.
Yeah, it's quite a difficult circuit to set up for. It's quite bumpy in places, and because of the speed, the bumps on a fast circuit sometimes can throw problems, especially on a brand new bike like he's on. But to be honest, it looks like he's got it fairly sorted, although times aren't as much, aren't quicker than they have been before in the past, and I would have expected that.
Tosland sets the fastest lap, 1:34.5, and we've already lost part of the HM Plant Ducati's side panelling. Is that Walker?
It's obviously faster without the fairing on.
It would seem to be. And Walker looks to have both sides intact, so it could be that the sheer speed of that lap has ripped a side panel off James Tolson's bike. There has been complaints over the weekend. Troy Corser was saying, who knows this track better than absolutely anybody, was saying that the track surface feels quite greasy and lacking in grip this weekend, James, and that's been a bit of a struggle.
That's a feature of Phillip Island. You don't know just quite what it's going to be like until you get there. Even though you can get two similar sort of temperatures and condition days, the track can be completely different, depending on several factors: what it's been used for, who raced there last, weather conditions. It's very near the sea, so they do get a lot of spray, salt deposited on the track, so it just depends what it's been used for, and it can change quite readily, can Phillip Island, the actual grip of the surface.
Troy Corser is holding down 7th place, and at the moment Rubenshaus hasn't been able to find a way past him on the second of the factory Ducati 999s. At the front though, his teammate Neil Hodgson is just beginning to edge a little bit clear of the frantic battle for 2nd place, with Frankie Keeley, Chris Walker and Gregorio Lavia being able to take a very, very tight line out of Siberia, James.
Yeah, I mean, to me he's looking fairly comfortable, is Lavilla. It looks like he's watching what's going on in front, and he doesn't look to be working too hard to stay where he is, to be honest.
Lavia, of course, 5 times on the podium in his 130 race World Superbike career. That, of course, was when he was racing for the Fuchs Kawasaki team, and also prior to that he was a demon in the wet back in 1998 on his private DeCecco Racing Ducati.
Yeah, he robbed me of a rostrum in South Africa on that bike, actually.
Robbed, James?
I was robbed, yeah. Mugged me, 2 corners to go.
Oh, so in fact it was a fair game then. He nabbed it absolutely fairly, did he?
No, it wasn't fair.
He's just nabbed 3rd place and a rostrum position from Chris Walker there as he went down the start straight, and Gregorio Lavia really hoofed it past Walker, and that means that Walker's pushed back to 4th place, but still very much right there in contention. Talking of Walker, what about teammate Tolson? What effect on the handling and general behaviour of his bike will the loss of a side panel have, or is that... Oh, and Killy's gone. Killy's bike's gone.
And that's major. That's not running again.
Oh, and Frankie Keeley, well, we were saying, James, it was getting a bit long in the tooth. Perhaps it's got a bit too many miles on it. James Tolson now then is elevated to 4th place, just ahead of Rubenshaus, beginning to make a move. He's found his way past Troy Corser and beginning to look threatening. So the Barcelona boy is on the move now as Gregorio Lavia and Chris Walker scrap for 2nd place. I
really feel for Killy there. He's riding as well as I've seen him ride for a long time, and also at a place when he's been setting fastest laps consistently all weekend. Yeah, it's very disappointing for him, that.
And strangely enough, Killy, although he's always been quite quick here, has suffered a rash of bad luck, yeah. And he even delaminated a tyre here on the Alstara Corona Suzuki once, and he's only got 1 podium place to show for his talents around Phillip Island. Oh, and that was the moment when he must have realised all was not right.
Yeah, I mean, he knew as soon as the smoke came out, he knew, so I reckon that's, I don't know, big end or thrown a rod or something very major.
Gregorio Lavia in 2nd place. Chris Walker again trying to edge alongside the GSXR 1000 as they head down into Douans, the fast right-hander. Can't quite get it on terms, but very much in contention, and his teammate Tolson behind him. Zaus now 5th ahead of Regis Laconi and Troy Corser. But the man at the front, remember, dominating this race at the moment. Is he headed for his 3rd straight victory? We'll find out. We'll take a quick break. Don't go far. Welcome back to Phillip Island, and Chris Walker still dogging the wheel tracks of Gregorio Lavia, but the threatening sights behind is Rubenshaus, and look at Troy Corser trying to dip underneath that bare left-sided HM Plant Ducati. Oh, and look at poor Tolson, he's losing more, he's losing the belly pan underneath.
Yeah, and once the side panel's gone, the belly pan hang loose, and the problem with that is it'll be scraping on the floor around every left hand, and that will be very, very off-putting. Although not a solid part, so it isn't going to lift the wheels off the floor like a footrest or an exhaust digging in, but that will be putting him off. He's doing really well there.
Talking about exhaust, they've since Valencia they've been working on a new exhaust system for the Foggy Petronas FP1 number 4 Troy Corser, and they're a bit happier with the power that they're getting out of it as a result.
That's right. Also new head gaskets. Instead of using Cooper rings, they're on they're on I think they've had Carl Fogarty cutting cornflake packets out and sticking them under the cylinder heads, but they seem to be a lot more reliable now. I tell you what, Toseland's bike's lost both side panels, left and right. That's unusual. The famous exploding bike seems to be riding at the minute.
Colin Wright, team manager, and look, what on earth is going on here? We could see there how, with his higher exit speed from turn 12, how the FP1 got away from the HM Plant Ducati initially along the start straight.
That's right, but to be honest, Toseland's having quite important bits of fairing missing. That can have several effects on the bike, and I would be expecting the bike to be not running at the right temperature and the aerodynamics to be all over the place, really. I wouldn't expect the bike to keep going as well as it is doing with the fairing missing. Obviously, the fairing not just makes the bike look nice, it also directs air into the radiators and air into into the engine, to the injection system. So, yeah, I'd expect to be having an effect on the bike, but it doesn't seem to be doing.
I was going to say, he's outfoxed Corsa and fought his way back in front of him, and actually, contrary to what you were saying just now, James, I think the bike looks rather fine semi-naked.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't look good, but I'm saying that everything on a racing bike is there to do a job, not just to look pretty. That's the job of the paint, and you see the air scoops in the front. All the bikes have air scoops, and that's to get air. That's just not to look good. That's to get air into the engine, also to direct air into the cooling, the water cooling radiators. And but bits of the bike missing, it doesn't seem to be affecting it at all.
It doesn't. Perhaps it's a tribute to Ducati that it's going as well as it is. And Regis Lacconi on the NCR Ducati is who was second fastest during Friday qualifying behind Frankie Killy, is sticking his nose well and truly into that battle between Toseland and Corsa now. Lacconi, of course, winner of the very final race of 2001 before going off for his year struggling with the Aprilia Cube in MotoGP last year, and thoroughly enjoying himself being back in with NCR Ducati here in World Superbikes. Gregorio Lavea, GSXR 1000, Alstara Corona Suzuki, and Chris Walker, who's been really getting back to his best, enjoying being back at this track. Although his teammate Jamie told, and Walker goes underneath Lavea into second place. And he was really beginning to warm up for that move. He's been backing it into a few turns and really looking like the sparkling Walker at his sparkling best.
Typical Brit pass. All the Brits are always good at hairpins, because most of the circuits in Britain have several hairpins on them. They're always good into hairpins, the British riders.
And here he is, just a bit tighter in.
Take that.
Beautiful. Gregorio couldn't do anything about that. He just had to let the stalker through. And that puts Stalker into second place now, looking for that podium position here, having opened up with one in the first race at Valencia. And Toseland into the pits. Or are they preparing? What's going on here?
I've no idea.
That's not Toseland coming into the pits. That's a bike being worked on. Perhaps they're thinking about putting the side panels on so it might magically enable him to go quicker.
I think they were nicking bits off the spare bike in case he came in for some side pods putting on.
So in case it all got a bit too uncomfortable for him and he needed some fresh leg shields. And Gregorio Lavea outpowers Chris Walker down the straight. Hodgson now with a 4.4 second lead. And Gregorio Lavea swapping paint with Chris Walker. Zaus fourth, he's the menace. Fifth, Corsa, sixth, Lacconi. And it looks as if he is coming in. He's come into the pits to sort things out. It's finally proven too much for James Toseland. How unlucky is that? And who will the finger be pointed at? How come the fairing should never start to disintegrate like that?
Maybe there was a start line incident, or he somehow caught it with his leg. I mean, what you've got to remember is these fairings, they're very, very thin, very lightweight. And in certain respects very strong aerodynamically, but in actual fact there's not that much to them a lot of times. And I think what you'll find is the bike would have been overheating or running cold or warm. I'd expect the bike to be running red hot because the radiator's not having as much air through as what it should have been. So yeah,
which is remarkable, isn't it? Because you'd think with it looking that naked it would be well cooled down.
Yeah, but it's not air that's cooling the engine over the engine, it's air through the radiator that's actually cooling the whole lot down. So
Ruben Zaus is definitely catching as he comes over the top of Lukey heights, James, and having crashed 3 times in 2 days, obviously there's no guarantee he'll stay on board.
You definitely won't want that lad behind you, I'll tell you. Do.
Well, he's coming up behind them now, and I've got a feeling as Hodgson goes streaking past us now that this battle is going to become a three-way battle very soon, because if Zaus stays on and keeps his head down, he's going to be quick.
He's not far behind now. No, I mean, certainly Zaus is one of the quickest men out there, and most determined and fittest men out there. He trains very hard. He's a very big, strong lad who's prepared to push it to the limit and beyond, and this is why he drops off it a little bit. I mean, what Hodgie's got going for him is he doesn't have to, although it looks like Hodgie's going to, you know, take a bit of stopping this year. If he does find himself last lap behind Zaus, he doesn't have to go and break his neck to beat him, because Zaus is always going to drop off the bike, it would seem, you know.
Hodgson backing in sweetly there. James Hayden still in the race, but back out of the points in 17th place, but his teammate Troy Corser well and truly scrapping for points. And he did say that he wanted not only to be the best Australian here, but he was looking for a podium place. Walker to Zaus now, the gap down to 1.889 seconds, so it's just been gradually eked away. That gap is beginning to shrink, but Walker won't be too aware of that. He's more concerned with Levere.
That's right. I mean, to be honest, they're having a great race at Levere and Walker, and this is exactly what you want in a big long race like this, because you're concentrating on what you're doing. You're not you know, you're not on your own looking around thinking, you know, I hope the race would hurry up and finish. You know, you're going around having something to concentrate on. It's brilliant to be in a dice like this.
Chris Walker thoroughly enjoying himself here at Phillip Island. Beautiful weather, terrific racing, and the fact that he's spirited enough to be heading possibly for yet another podium. Gregorio Levere goes past. Yeah. Chris Walker with him, but that gap has shrunk behind him, and Zaus is definitely on for a podium place here. Remember, we've got a 22-lap race, so there's still 12 laps to go for these guys yet. Tolsland in the pits here, and I think it looks as if it might be retirement time for Tolsland.
Yeah,
what
to be honest, in a race that fair enough, they're fairly long races, but you certainly haven't got enough time to come in and get a fairing fitted and go out and still up to get any points. So there's not a lot of point in just going round and round, you know, just because you've got your bike fixed.
Gregorio Levere repaying the compliment, and here's the battle going on between Laconi number 55, Steve Martin on the DFX Ducati number 99, and his fellow Australian, former world champion number 4, Troy Corser. Gregorio Levere, he said that it was pretty tricky coming back here. Last year he'd come for the first time with a sort of brand new bike with suspension he'd never worked with before, and then this year coming with yet another different bike back to Phillip Island. So he's not been finding it terribly easy. No sort of basic settings to work with, except of course the ones from Catalonia, courtesy of Kageyama and John Reynolds. And incidentally, JR, we've heard that you've broken your wrist and collarbone at Silverstone, and we're pretty dismayed about that, and we wish you a speedy recovery.
Yeah, we're just on his way home thinking, I'm getting too old for all this feeling now.
But he'll be back.
Oh, he'll be back. He's a tough nut, he's JR.
And here's another tough nut. Chris Walker making a move again past Gregorio Levere. But that GSXR 1000, it has plenty of steam, and when he pulls out of the slipstream, it just stays there alongside him.
Yeah, also he seems to be able to carry a lot more momentum out of the last corner than Chris. And it doesn't really matter if Chris is in the slipstream or not. The GSXR seems to be able to get to the end of the start and finish straight first.
Ruben Zaus, as you can see now, has become a colossal figure in the rear-view mirrors of these two guys. And Zaus, the man from Sant Cugat de Val outside Barcelona, is beginning to close down. He actually lives alongside one of his training mates, Carl Muggeridge, in Andorra, and they do a lot of cross-country skiing. That's one of the things that makes this guy so fit.
Yeah, real interesting sport that as well. Good to watch.
Yeah, we show it on Eurosport. You must enjoy it, James.
Oh, I love it. Do you need a gun? Because they all seem to have a gun with them.
Yes, that's to shoot guys who are just not cutting it for you, James. They should supply them to the spectators as well, perhaps.
Oh, you meet a moose or something.
If you meet a moose, yes, you definitely need one. And
I need one.
And that Lukey Heights, Ruben Zaus, not looking the least bit dismayed by the fact he's been off there, and also by the fact that he's been off exiting turn 12 on Friday, because he's cutting back the advantage of Levere and Chris Walker visibly now, and as he comes round onto the start and finish straight, he's got them well and truly in his gunslinging sights.
Yeah, one thing about Zaus, he never gets phased. He can crash his brains out all practice, and it doesn't really mean that he's going to be phased for the race. He'll still go out and try just as hard and go just as quick. He doesn't seem to bother him, which is a good trait, but when you're sort of falling down as much as him, it might be better if you did get a little bit phased and slow down a little bit.
Well, certainly, if he stays on, and remember, he finished twice second to Neil Hodgson at Valencia, and it looks as if he's going to be well capable of doing that again. And talking about Neil Hodgson, a quick glimpse of the number 100 at the front as his teammate gets alongside Chris Walker going into the Honda hairpin, as Walker, however, dives underneath Lavia and leaves the two Spaniards to have a little squabble while he gets himself up into second place. Here comes Zaus trying to get round the outside. And the dark-eyed, brooding dark eyes of Gregorio Lavia. I remember them being less than chuffed when Ruben Zaus became the first Spaniard to win a World Superbike race back at Assen in 2001. And he'd dearly love to be able to put one over his compatriot, but I don't think this is going to be the day somehow, because Zaus has caught him. Can he get past him? Yeah, he's caught hand over fist in the last couple of laps. He seems to be on a real roll now. But he's not doing anything too rash. He didn't try to dive underneath at Whittam Corner there.
No, thanks for that.
It's all right, I just wanted to make sure that you don't forget it in a hurry, because we had you down for a clean race win. Imagine our disappointment, never mind yours.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for that.
Chris Walker in second place, third Lavia, fourth Ruben Zaus. Could it all change? Down onto the start-finish straight, up to 290 kilometres per hour. Oh! And Zaus just screams past the two of them in one go.
Yep. That new Ducati is fast.
So, fourth to second for Ruben Zaus, and the proof of the pudding. The 999 is quick in a straight line, just as the MotoGP bike has been proving to be by Loris Capirossi and Troy Bayliss.
Yeah, amazing. So much faster. It's nice when you sat on a bike that's that quick. Not that it's ever happened that often to me, but that is nice.
When has it happened?
It hasn't. Actually, when we raced the factory Suzuki in '97, we did have consistently the quickest bikes to the track, but it lacked a little bit of bottom end. But actually, if you've got a fast circuit like Hockenheim or he was a very quick bike top end, but it did lack a little bit coming out of the corners.
Well, certainly Gregorio Lavia is finding a bit more grunt than he had on the GSXR 750 and that GSXR 1000, which had qualified, I think, in second place at Silverstone in the hands of Kageyama behind Shaky Byrne. Is certainly looking quick here, because Lavia's been, as I thought, a little touch of the red rag to a bull. He's seen Ruben Zaus go past him, and now he's clinging on to him, although it was noticeable that the Ducati can just jump a bike length or two coming out of the slower turns.
Well, we'll see now, actually, going on to the start and finish, whether the GSXR can stay with the Ducati down the straight.
And you've got a nasty shake on coming down there, but he's trying to hang on to it and stay in the slipstream as they go past. Speed, kilometre per hour, Zaus 282, Lavia 283, Walker 282.3.
It seems in the slipstream that GSXR can stop even with the new Ducati, so that's good.
And he's certainly staying close through South Curve.
Yeah, he's not having it, is he, like you say?
No, he doesn't like it, mate. He does not like it.
Well, it's the next worst thing to your teammate beating you.
Woo, and he's gone back underneath him, and that is such a fabulous piece of circuit. 140 mile an hour, downhill left-hander into the Honda hairpin. Brilliant, 8 laps to go, and Walker is sitting there with them as well, and Ruben Zaus is concerned enough to glance over his right shoulder there to see who's behind him. He's been stalked.
Yeah, good move that, and at a place when Zaus would least expect it, particularly when he's just come and passed the two riders. You wouldn't expect getting repassed there.
And this must be great for the boys in the Alstara Corona Suzuki camp. Francis Batter and those guys will be really enjoying watching this, and it'll be inspiring Katsuaki Fujiwara and Stefan Chambon, of course, for their outing in the Supersport 600 race. Fujiwara, winner of the first race in Valencia, and Bonbon Chambon not even able to race there because he'd hurt himself the week before. His ribs are still very sore, but he's decided that he's in good enough shape to ride here at Phillip Island.
He'll be in the Clinica Mobile now, just in the torture chamber, getting the cortisone injections as we speak.
You don't speak very highly of the Clinica Mobile, James. They never did anything for you then.
Well, you could never get in. You were full of Italians having a nice rub down. You were there with your broken femur. You couldn't get near the door. You had to sit outside in a deck chair and wait.
And talking about injuries, I'll have another word with Whittam about that in a moment. But look at this. At the moment, this battle for second, third and fourth places, which is really ostensibly for second place, which is where they all want to be, is being held by the Alstara Corona Suzuki of Gregorio Lavilla, number 10, as they come out of turn 12. Or rather, into turn 12. Ruben Zaus. And I've got myself completely mixed up here because we're going into the Honda hairpin. Ruben Zaus in third place. Chris Walker still there. And Steve Martin has got through and mugged Troy Corser. And here comes Regis Laconi as well on the NCR Ducati, but he can't quite squeeze underneath that flame-throwing FP1.
I'm going to say, set him on fire.
I think it's probably a good idea to singe the opposition if you don't want them too close to you, actually. I don't think they should work and try and eliminate that myself.
I think they need one going forward. A big flamethrower out the front. That'd be more use, obviously.
Corsa going through the magnificent hay sheds. There still is the old hay shed over on the left-hand side of the riders, set deep back on the grass, well out of harm's way. This is Lukey Heights, and then that sharp drop down, and it is a sharp drop there, James, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very steep. It's actually quite deceiving. It's a lot steeper than what it looks on camera there.
Steve Martin on that DFX Ducati beginning to look pretty confident. He enjoyed himself with his best race result ever with a 5th place in Valencia, and here he is trying to get himself and into the same place in race 1 at Phillip Island, which will be even more fun as it's on home territory. Here's the FP1 camp. Basil looking very happy with life on the left-hand side there.
Yeah, I think they're sort of victims of their own success at Valencia. I think they're now expecting to be somewhere near competitive. And I think everybody else is expecting the FP1 to be, you know, a front runner, and it's proving to be. But I think it's still a tall order for the amount of time they've been actually running, and the testing they've done with a brand new bike, brand new engine. And it's testament to all the hard work that they can actually, that people are taking it seriously as a front running bike.
And certainly testament to the skill of Troy Corser, as this time he does lose out and has to sit up and let the NCR Ducati of Regis Laconi underneath him. So he's got a bit of fighting back to do now. And he has been saying this weekend, Jamie, that it's difficult to get back into a race mode. It's all very well going testing, but it's an altogether different proposition when you get like this happening and you're actually cheek by jowl with other guys at racing speed. It's a whole different game. Completely
different. And actually, some riders like it, some don't. Some test quick, some practice quick and can't race. I was actually always the opposite. I never tested quick, never qualified that well, but always really enjoyed the racing and went a lot better in races. And I mean, to be honest, Troy's fantastic at setting the bike up. He knows what he wants. He's been to all the circuits, and he seems to have the bike, certainly in the corners, exactly like he wants it. He seems to be able to put it where he wants, and I think they're just short of engine, really.
Well, one man who isn't is Ruben Zaus, and I was expecting him to rocket past the GXS 1000, but it's not that big a difference. And side by side into 200 at 100 miles per hour, and that's the close racing we were talking about, and Zaus has nabbed it back.
That's a scary corner when you're going in side by side as well, I can tell you.
And a great move by Zaus, but it is terrifically encouraging. It must be for Lavilla and the Alstara Corona Suzuki people to see Gregorio being able to live. And once again he tries to get around the outside, but can't surprise him a second lap in a row.
I think actually the Suzuki factory are taking quite a keen interest in this class, and I think it's quite a trick motorcycle is the GSXR you've seen there. But it's certainly encouraging for all the Japanese manufacturers that they can run competitive with a 1000cc Superbike. Certainly Yamaha will be looking at it and thinking that, you know, they've got at least as good a bike in the R1. So.
And this was the moment at which Ruben Zaus fed his way underneath Lavilla, and Lavilla just had to sit up a fraction, but he wasn't willing to, was he?
Did you see Zaus say sorry there? He just sort of acknowledged what he'd done by a quick wave there. And going in there, taking your hands off the handlebars is not really what you want him to be doing.
And Lavilla tries to get underneath him and almost squeezes through as they come down out of MG corner and into turn 11. And Gregorio Lavilla is saying this isn't over yet.
No, it's actually, the gloves are off a little bit. They are trying to show each other who's boss, and neither of them can. This has cost them both Spanish, eh?
Absolutely, the Spanish fists are flying here as Lavilla tries to get alongside, going into Duans. Can he do what Zaus did to him on the previous lap? He can. He's through. Or is he? Oh, Zaus hangs on round the outside, brave as brave can be, and into the south curve at about 80 miles per hour through the left-hander. He's got it back. They actually have these guys actually have, the Michelins have different compound tyres here, as right through on the inside. Gregorio Lavilla gets it back going into the Honda hairpin. This is great. Gregorio Lavilla fighting back. I mean, because this is full of extremely rapid left-hand turns, there's only the Honda hairpin, the Honda hairpin and MG turn and Duans that are not.
And all quite
left-handers.
slow corners as well.
And all relatively slow ones, with the exception of Duans, of course, which is a pretty stonker.
I think what you're going to say is the fact that they run different compound tyres on each side of the tyre.
Right.
And all the manufacturers do exactly the same. Because to run a soft enough compound to grip on the slow corners when there isn't a lot of side push, that would be so soft that if you had the same compound on the left-hand side, it'd just wear out in 2 laps. So they actually have a dual compound, it's called, where the tyres are different compound on each side to allow for each. Obviously that's tailored to each circuit, and most circuits in the world are right-handed.
Jean Erice was telling me that they actually, but at Phillip Island they still need a guy to be able to look after his tyres despite having that dual compound. And here's one man who perhaps doesn't look after his tyres that well, because he's come ripping through from a bad start, Ruben Zaus, but he's still very much in the frame. And once again, can he do the long slingshot round the outside into South Curve, because he's on the inside as they go into South Curve? But I don't think Lavilla wanted to let him through then.
This is good. This is just getting interesting, this.
You have a wonderful way of talking things up, James. Yeah, just getting interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, we're blooming enjoying it, or at least I am.
Yeah.
Ruben Zaus, and Lavilla once again tries to tuck inside as they go down through that fabulous plunge. 140 mile an hour left-hander, and then breaking right down to the bottom gear Honda hairpin. And this is Ducati versus Suzuki.
You just heard that 1000 Suzuki right on the rev limiter, just bouncing off the rev limiter, where you can't over rev because of the rev limiter.
Phillip Island, race 1 of the second round of World Superbikes, and finally Ruben Zaus has just scraped a bit of air out of Gregorio Lavilla's sails there, and he's escaped to the tune of about 4 or 5 bike lengths, and that's the first time we've really seen daylight between them. Tremendous race between Ruben Zaus and Gregorio Lavilla. Lavilla, of course, Dunlop's GSX-R 1000 4-cylinder Suzuki, and the Michelins and the 1000cc twin-cylinder Ducati 999. And Zaus finally getting away. Zaus looks as if he's going to make second place his, but Gregorio Lavilla has been proving A, that he's got a lot of fight in him, and B, that GSX-R 1000 Suzuki is coming on swell.
Yeah, I think in actual fact you'll find that Zaus is probably on the tyres that's lasted, although he came through and had to push hard at the beginning. His tyres looking in a lot better shape now than Lavilla's. So I think that's possibly one of the differences we've just seen in the last few laps where he's pulled away.
And they're actually just lapping a couple of wildcard GSX-R 1000Rs of Steve Cutting and Jay Normoyle. Normoyle, great word. Number 78, Jay Normoyle on the Warren and Brown light path Suzuki GSX-R 1000, and the guy just got past before that, Steve Cutting, number 73 on the motorcycle weaponry GSX-R 1000. But this guy Ruben Zaus now looks as if he's got that second place pretty much sorted out. It will be another Ducati 999-1-2, because Neil Hodgson, originally out of Burnley, now from the Isle of Man, has been handsomely leading this race virtually since the outset. The guy who made his debut as a road racer back at Langbarg, would you believe, up in my native northeast near Redcar in 1990 on his TZR 125 Yamaha.
When he was about 15, I think.
Before that, he'd been a very, very decent motocrosser.
Yeah, and he still is. He's still very, very keen on his motocrosses, Neil. Yeah, very keen.
Number 11, Ruben Zaus, another man who enjoys a bit of off-road plugging about, and also getting out on those thrilling cross-country skis, and generally spending a lot of time in the gym, and he is ruthlessly fit. And also a dancer, a great dancer, and he says that it helps, that the gymnastic side and the dancing side helps him deal with falling off and keeping safe.
I'd like to see him in his tutu.
I think he'd probably look pretty dramatic. Well, of course, we've seen him a couple of years ago at Brands Hatch, dressed as one of the Miss World contestants alongside the likes of Colin Edwards and Ben Boston, and very fine and beautiful women they made too. Let's not overlook Chris Walker's performance. He's been really scrapping with these guys. It looks as if he's going to have to settle for 4th place on the HM Plant Ducati. But for Neil Hodgson, blonde, blue-eyed superboy of the British motorcycling scene in World Superbikes at the moment, he rampaging to his 3rd straight dominant victory, his 6th win in World Superbikes in a career that has now spanned a fairly colossal 125 races. This is 126th race. He's had 5 race wins, 23 podiums, 12 pole positions. This is going to be podium number 24 and race win number 6 from the man who's now resident, of course, in the Isle of Man. 3rd in the World Championship last year, 5th on his return as the reigning British Superbike champion in 2001. So definitely on a distinct upward curve. He really did earn the respect of the people at the Ducati, who'd originally hired him back in 1996 when he wasn't quite ready for it, he reckons. He's certainly ready for it now. And the Fila Ducati of Neil Hodgson takes the first race win here at Phillip Island.
He's the boy that can do no wrong at the moment, he's Neil.
7.7 seconds behind him, Ruben Zaus crosses the line, and Gregorio Lavia, a spectacular finish. And there is Troy Corser just losing out to Steve Martin in the last couple of laps on the DFX Ducati. So his wish to be top Australian finisher is denied him, but he's there in 5th place behind Steve